You've spent the best part of 2 years building up your political capital. How have you managed to damage brand Rudd so comprehensively in such a short time this year?
Kerry, obviously the government's going through a tough time at present. I've said as much to colleagues in the caucus. Governments from time to time go through difficult periods like this. Look, our job is just to get on with the business of governing the country. There are lots of challenges we've handled well in the past. There's a few things that we've got wrong. But when I go to the future, and the proposition we've got to put to the Australian people is who's most competent and capable of managing this economy in very difficult global times. So some of the things...
I said brand Rudd, you said the government. I'm talking about Kevin Rudd. I'm talking about your image, your credibility, your brand. Whether some of those that appear to have been lost to you this year come back before the next election or not, do you understand why so many people have turned against you now, Kevin Rudd, not just the government, Kevin Rudd, and do you accept that they have judged your leadership and found you wanting?
Kerry, that is a question which you should put to other folk who are political commentators and the rest. My job's to get on with the business.
I'm putting it to you because you can't possibly suggest that this does not exercise your mind at all, that you are so focused, you're so focused on government that you're not concerned about whether you're losing support going into the next election.
Kerry, look, I'm human like anyone else, and of course you'd be inhuman if you weren't affected by developments from time to time. That's just the truth of it. As I said before, we've been going through a tough time. Obviously, a whole lot of people in the community have been disappointed by the position I announced in relation to the future of the carbon pollution reduction scheme. What's the reality that I had to confront there? Well, two realities. One is that the Liberal Party backflipped and voted our legislation down, having negotiated an agreement with Mr Turnbull to get it through. That is the reality we had to confront. And the second reality is this, that when we got to Copenhagen, it didn't produce the sort of progress on the global agenda that we all had hoped. Therefore, where do we go to from here? Our commitment on climate change hasn't changed one bit. It's happening. Now, hang on, let me finish. You've asked me a pretty fundamental question here, which is about how the actions which I'm responsible for and the government's responsible for are being seen. On the question of climate change, our view hasn't changed one bit. The greenhouse gas reduction targets remain the same. Our commitment to a carbon pollution reduction scheme is the best way of getting there is the same. But we cannot alter the fact that the Liberal Party has voted this down in the Senate.
OK, but there's one thing that you cannot escape, and that is this. It is still in your hands to go to the next election on the issue that you defined as a great moral challenge of our time, an issue on which you accuse the opposition of absolute political cowardice. It is in your hands to go to the next election, seek a double dissolution, whether you seek a double dissolution or not, and make this ETS a fresh mandate for the people to decide and tell both sides of politics what they want. Now, you have squibbed that decision. You have put this on the back burner until 2013, at least, and the budget makes that clear.
You know something, Kerry? I will be delighted to fight Mr Abbott on the next election, at the next election, whenever it is held, on climate change.
On the ETS?
On climate change and actions to bring it about. The bottom line is this. We believe in climate change. He says it's absolute crap. We believe that an emissions trading scheme is the most effective and cheapest way of getting there. He has rejected that position, despite the Liberal Party having formally embraced it. I now have to confront the reality that that is what he's done. The other thing is this, and this is the second reality I referred to before, which you skipped over, and that is that the progress on global action has been slower than any of us would like. That is why we've announced the decision that we would not seek to reintroduce this legislation until the end of the Kyoto commitment period, and on the basis that global action has been adequate. In the meantime, what we will do...
Mr Rudd, when the opposition tried to argue with you on holding back a vote on the ETS until after Copenhagen, that is, until after the world had made a stand, you said that was absolute political cowardice. So why is it not now absolute political cowardice for you to show leadership on this to the rest of the world by seeking to take the Australian people with you at the next election on an ETS?
You know something, Kerry, where I think you've got this fundamentally wrong is, frankly, being absent from the negotiations in Copenhagen themselves. There was no government in the world, like the Australian government, which threw its every energy at bringing about a deal, a global deal on climate change. Penny Wong and I sat up for 3 days and 3 nights with 20 leaders from around the world to try and frame a global agreement. Now, it might be easy for you to sit and 7:30 report land and say that was easy to do. Let me tell you, mate, it wasn't. We are fundamentally committed to climate change. We could not get the global accord that we wanted. As a consequence, we need to do further work on the global front, further work on the national front, because I am absolutely passionate about acting on climate change. We've been frustrated domestically, politically, frustrated internationally by the lack of progress there, but we will not be deterred. We will progress this matter, and we will achieve the best possible means of bringing down our greenhouse gas reductions in greenhouse gas levels in the future. And the bottom line is this. There is no way you can stare in the mirror in the future and say that you have passed up the core opportunity to act on climate change. I will not do that. The government that I lead will not do that. But I cannot wish away the 2 realities I've just referred to. They are there.